This is a tool that I like to use when I'm talking, especially with parents, but other teachers, about what is happening in the brain and body during different points of emotion for children. And I like to think about this because when we have a better understanding of the state of the child and the state of the child's brain during these different moments, it helps us understand why we may not be getting anywhere with the child in that moment, and helps us understand how we can shift that so we can so the child can have more success. So looking at when you're looking at the left side of your screen, we have the level head, which, if any of you are familiar with zones of regulation, that aligns with the green zone. And at this point, this is where the prefrontal cortex, where executive functioning happens, is being activated. And the brain at this point essentially is, what can I learn? That's what it's taking in. This is where it can problem solve. This is the best point where for children to actually learn the skills that they will need when they're in the yellow or red. It's not usually very useful for them to learn those tools in the yellow or red, which may seem counterintuitive. But if you think about, we need to teach these skills when they're in that executive function state, when they are able to problem solve as they start to think about something. So maybe an idea comes in. Maybe it's that we have music class next, and perhaps this particular child does not do well in music class. Perhaps that child is not connected with the music teacher. Maybe they tend to get in trouble in music class. Whatever it might be, the child has this idea all of a sudden, like, wait, I don't want what's happening next. And as the child is thinking about that more, their heart rate starts to increase. And that's when they move into that ticking time bomb stage, which, again, if you're thinking about the zones of regulation, that aligns with the yellow. And at this point, it's the emotion part of their brain, the limbic system, that is at play. And what's happening within their system is wondering, am I loved? And what we can do as the adult in that situation is help the child know that, yes, they are loved. So again, if we are the teacher and we see this starting to happen with the child, maybe we don't know yet that it really has something to do with the music teacher and this child. Maybe we haven't navigated that or haven't fully figured that out yet. But when we see them moving in that direction, we know something's being triggered. Something is accelerating their heart rate, which eventually often moves them into the explosion stage, so one all the way over to the right. And this is where the blood flow to the brain has actually changed, where the brain can feel very cloudy. That's one way I've heard kids describe this stage. Again, this the red aligns with the red with zones of regulation. This is where the brain stem is being activated. Fight, flight, or freeze should be on here as well. And essentially what the brain is going through at this time is wondering if it's safe. And so when a child is in this point, we have to keep in mind that our words aren't going to have a whole lot of impact, because the blood flow to the brain is not sufficient at that time. And so they're not really going to be taking in our words and hearing them the way we need them to be. But we need to be able to show the child that they are safe, so they can gradually move into the back into that emotion state, where then we can show them that they're cared for and that they're loved, and then hopefully then they can move on down. Obviously, that process of moving them down, I am totally simplifying with this, but I'm doing that on purpose, just to give you a quick summary of this. Hopefully you find this useful. Anytime you are interacting with a child where you are starting to struggle with them, or you can see that they're struggling, pause for a moment to think about where they're at, and you will need to respond differently based on where they're at. So again, the explosion, minimal words, help them feel safe. With the ticking time bomb, you can add in more words, but know that what message they need to get at this point is that they are loved and cared for. It may not be through those exact words. It's a connection that getting down at their level, talking with them. Eye contact isn't always the best, depending on the child. So know your audience, I guess, might be a good way to say that. So anyways, enjoy. I hope this, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but hopefully this is useful to you as you are navigating different situations with the kids that you teach.